If you were seeded for round 1 of the most jaw-dropping Elestriad season yet, then toss out most of that seed, because from here on out, you'll only need the edge. Welcome back, my Nimbugs and Elestriad faithful. My name is Swolax, and I'll be the voice in your head commentating over today's epic clash between two titans of the tape. From former team Cryoscorch in the water corner with the mighty Poseidon, Espira is looking to follow up his dominant performance and take it all the way to the top. Standing in his way is the wind corner with the strong Aeolus, my sworn enemy and newly found rival, Peeps. PeepsYGO. I'm so sorry about your brackets. And to check on those, you can ask your parents' permission before going online to Elestriad.com. There you can get caught up on anything you've missed from round 1 and get in on some more Elestriad goodness for this round and for any rounds in the future. But let's not get too future-pilled yet, we still have plenty to do in the present. Espira, how are you going toe-to-toe with Peeps today?
Welcome back, everyone. Somehow we have survived the previous week and are now fighting through in top 16 of the Elestriad Season 3. Of course, I am representing the Water Pantheon, and with such, we have ourselves some really good tools. Of course, Tsunami doesn't really touch us, which is a huge tool that every other deck does, and we saw that kind of power level come to us in our previous week against Solar. This week, we're up against Peeps, and he is playing Wind, and honestly, Wind can be very scary, specifically because of its toolbox nature to be able to kind of do everything, especially with the tutor ability of Aeolus, but additionally because of the way that it has things like burn and it has removal, so we need to really be cognizant of that. Thankfully, they're not super receptive to things like changing combat positions, which we do a ton, and if they do end up going the burn route, at least then we have the benefit of being able to heal quite a bit. I will say though, the deck doesn't change a whole lot. I was at New York Comic Con for the past week, and so we were a little bit tight on being able to make adjustments. But nevertheless, I think we constructed a deck that is solid enough and just raw numbers wise that we're able to play game against anything, which was I really liked. So in terms of a reminder of what we've got going on, we've got our required Poseidon alongside our Atlantis. From there, we've got our Elestrals lineup of our 3 Moose stations, our 2 Jotagwas for some healing, and then a 1 Aphoros to kind of make some Poseidon / Jotagwa plays kind of happen. Then in terms of our off elements, we have 3 Astrabids, because why wouldn't we? And then the 1 Lavalith will never give that up. Of course, we are water, and thus we have the ability to go into some lunar and play some rock and a hard place. And if we're going to do that, of course, you guys didn't think I was going to forget my main man, Eddie, with the ability to go into Curibus, and then, of course, the 2 Drakids to go into Drakking. From that, of course, we have our Invokes, our 3 mandatory Ambrosias, in my opinion, and then our 2 Nogs. Nogs has actually been incredible, and I'm honestly considering bumping up to 3. I understand why most people only play 2, but with the healing ability that we have in our deck, I do think the opportunity to be able to go into 3 means that we'll be able to out advantage our opponents. And then of course we've got the 1 of Earthquake and the 1 of Resting on Your Laurels. The cards are limited for a reason, and I'm not going to give that up. Then moving on to our counter runes, of course we are in the Water Pantheon, so we've got ourselves our triple Tsunami, and then our triple Gorgon's Gaze, triple Poison Tipped Arrow, and then I am still on the 2 Shield of Achilles. Just want as many tools of these as possible. There's a world itch. If we make it over to future weeks, we may be moving off of Shield of Achilles to kind of find more tech elsewhere. From there, we move on into our spirits, and it's kind of the same solution here. We're rocking 11 water Leviathans, our triple Owloons, which honestly is really tough. I really wish we could run 4. From there, we've got our 2 Zaptors to make our rabbits work. Oftentimes, we'll just put ourselves in a position where if we've already done this twice, we can Ambrosia, get 1 back, and we're able to get our 3rd proc of a rabbit if necessary. Our 2 Tratlis and our 2 Fires for our 2 tech cards, Earthquake and Lavalith respectfully. Finally, we have our sideboard plan, and because we weren't able to make changes to our deck, it is the same cheeky strategy that we had. We have our 1 Licorice, which obviously plays into us being able to do some Zephyrog shenanigans. So Zephyrog being able to attack into our opponent directly. So we want to have that combo in case our opponent's being really greedy with their spirits and they end up at a low total, which means we're able to Tadpuff into Zephyrog. We'll Chariot's Ride to make sure that we can get through there. And then we have cards like Nog, another Poseidon, and Aphoros to make the combo work. Outside of being able to force this strategy, we do obviously have the Veritakwas for just additional board clear, the Shield for additional removal, the Jotagwa for more heal, and then the 1 of Lakagon as just kind of an answer / boss monster type card. I'm very excited to see what happens this week. Wind can go so many different directions. that I think hopefully our good stuff strategy that's able to kind of manipulate our board and keep the tempo on our side will be enough to get us there. Thankfully, because Wind can be really greedy with their spirits, so there's an opportunity for us to be able to get a little play in there.
Big fan of this water deck from Espira, utilizing base set staples like Mustation as a big body, Frostfall Faithfuls like Dratagua for some spirit control, and of course the powerful Eddy and Curibus from the newest set Daybreak. While this deck looks pretty strong, Peeps, you handsome yet diabolical fiend, I just have one question for you. Why?
No spirits left in
Why,
Spirit
Peeps?
deck, and that is the end of the clash.
I mean, what did you bring today?
Hey, wait a second. What's this guy doing here? You're telling me he won? Yeah, I'm just as surprised as you are. I'm here for round 2. I can't believe it. I ended up taking the game versus Swole. I'm happy with how it went. I lost game 1, and I realized after playing that game, there were multiple plays I could have made and mistakes that had I not made, I would have won game 1 as well. So I feel pretty confident right now. I'm impressed with myself. I was impressed with my deck. Sad I didn't get to show off Terrasail, but had I re-enchanted the Nemasail, just one turn I didn't expend a draw, I just forgot you could do it. So I would have been able to show it off had it was there, but I didn't get there. So either way, we are back for round 2, and I was scared of my opponent in round 1, and I am equally scared of my opponent in round 2 because Espira is on water. He's part of the water pantheon. And unfortunately, water has a benefit of not only being able to play Tsunami, but being able to dodge Tsunami as well. So I am blocked out of playing one of the best counter runes in the game. And Espira knows that it's going to be valuable versus me. So I have to sort of change up my game plan a little bit. So to start off, we are sticking with 3 Nemasail, but unfortunately, my GOAT, Terrasail, is not in the list this week. And we're trying out something a little different. We're going to play 3 Verituka. So for those of you that don't know, this card says that when it's attacking, and it battles an Elestral that has equal to or less than enchanting spirits on it, then this Verituka's effect activates to suppress it and destroy it by card effect. So my idea with this deck is that it's going to be very tempo focused. I'm going to just use little removal tools to get stuff off the board. And I'm going to do a lot of healing. And then we play 3 Sorlet. I'm kind of expecting Espira to be on either Drakking or Curibus, and Sorlet out both of these via its effect, so that's pretty good. And then for the last of the Wind guys, I play 1 Exaltair and 1 Toxiswarm. So these are the game enders, basically. Aeolus I'm going to be using to search Verituka a lot to remove stuff. And then when I get to a point where Espira is on 6 or less spirits, I'm going to try to set these up next to each other. When this receives, it burns 1. When this nexuses, it burns 2. Nexus to this, push for more damage. You get the idea. Now we're playing some Thunder guys. So we're playing 3 Astrabbit, and then 3 Quackle. So what Quackle does is when it's cast, it heals you for 3 Thunder. The idea here is I'm going to be spending a lot of spirits on removal tools and 1-for-1ing my opponent, and then I'll use Nemasail and Quackle to heal back the spirits that I paid for the removal, and eventually outpace. And then 2 Boombat. This is just another removal tool. We're going to play 3 Aeolus. We're making the deck even more expensive by playing 3 Nectar of the Gods. I need consistency very badly against water. I need to see the tools that I need to see as quickly as possible, such as 3 Ambrosia. And then to round out the Invoke runes, I'm playing 1 Resting on Your Laurels and 1 Earthquake. We are boy mathing for the Earthquake to be live. Then I play 3 Shield for the counter runes, 3 Poison to Darrow, and then I don't get to play Tsunami. So we got to find some other stuff that is counter rune removal, which I am choosing to play 2 Argo and 2 Necklace of Harmonia. Like I said, this deck is really leaning on being expensive, okay? So what I'm going to try to do is recoup all those spirits with those Elestrals that I play to heal myself after using all this spirit math. And what I can do is when I cast the Harmonia will be on my side of the board. I do not want it to stay there in my end phase, so I'll activate Nectar, paying off the Harmonia. We'll go from there. So that's the idea. For the spirits of the main, we play 13 wind spirits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 thunders, and then 2 earthquake. Then for the side deck, we are trying something a little interesting. So my thinking here is if he is playing Curibus or Drakking, and I need, if game 1 doesn't go well, and I need more outs to those cards, I'm playing a PELIQUARIUS package. So what this is going to allow me to do is when I see Aeolus, the Divine Rune, on my first turn, I'm going to be able to cast Aeolus for 5, pay 2 off of it, search PELIQUARIUS, summon PELIQUARIUS, use its effect, and then search a galaxy. So that consistently, off the first turn, gets me to a card that outs Curibus and Drakking. So that's the idea there. And then we have 2 P-Gust if he's on a lot of counter runes that I really am struggling to deal with. 3 Spectaris if he's playing Foamy and Galaxies. I want to bring in these to be able to suppress those and destroy them by battle. And then if he's playing Atlantis, like if he's trying to set up Atlantis and that's giving me trouble, I have 2 Aeoli on the side for that. And for the spirits, I have 2 Lunars for the Spectaris and 2 Waters for the Galaxy. That's the deck. Wish me luck. I can't believe I'm here. Thumbs up.
Oh, okay, switching it up a little bit today, taking some inspiration from fellow caster Coder on the Wind heal stall strategy, focusing deeper on those Nemesails and Quackle to help control the Spirit deck. Also, check out that new inclusion of Argo in the top slot there to maybe catch Espira off guard and put him in a rock in a hard place himself. Speaking of rock in a hard place and Argo, if you are looking to pick up the newest premiere set from Elestrals Daybreak, you can head over to shopelestrals.com for more Elestrals goodness, including there you can pick up things like the Pharaohgeist starter deck and the Chronodile starter deck, both incredible options with great competitive staples. And if you're looking to play along with Watercaster Espira today, that Chronodile starter deck comes plentiful with copies of Eddy, Curibus, and also some other water staples featured in this match. With that being said, let's go ahead and hop into the clash between these 2 insane casters for round 2 of Elestriad Season 3. All right, we're gonna start things off today with Espira going first and Peeps opting to go for a mulligan. That hand might not be too strong going second, and I can completely understand maybe looking for Sorlets or potentially some other copies of cards to combat a strong going first play from Espira. Espira's gonna start off with a Nectar of the Gods, go ahead and play the animation, drink up Zeus, drawing 2 more cards, putting him at a little bit of a card advantage, setting 2 cards face down, and running out a Leviathan Water Spirit for a defense Mustation. I do kind of like this play a little bit. It's going to be hard to out this Mustation specifically. Once again, Peeps could opt in for an aggressive Sorlet play or look to play this one a little bit slow himself. It looks like it's going to set 2 and then pass back. Espira's going to draw for turn. Going to go for another Leviathan here. Maybe go on the offensive play for a attack position Mustation. The 2 big body crabs we know Espira is running. Not effectively not gonna have to be forced to expend the extra water spirit to flip these attacks is really nice, allowing this early advantage with these 2 big bodies. Plus, whenever Peeps goes for an Elestral next turn, Espira has the option to buff both crabs by swapping their attack and defense. Go for resting on your laurels. Pretty big and a really effective tool for getting rid of these big bodies. Espira chooses his least favorite crab here, and I cannot blame you, the first one's been there for a little while, and a Nemesail, forcing Espira to expend the spirit while Peeps gets to heal up 2 from that mulligan previously, keeping the spirit count a little bit equal, which is very nice. You love to see it. Despite the fact that mulligan put Peeps behind initially, we're back to the play, baby. Espira's gonna go for turn, thinking about what to do, gonna go ahead and go for the Mustation, expend to swap its attack and defense, maybe hoping to bait out a potential Gorgon's Gaze in the back and play around PTA. Oh, looks like I'm gonna play right into that PTA though with a Drakid. Drakid's a really nice inclusion here from Shattered Stars that the casters have available to them. The effect of Drakid is a little bit underwhelming for something like a Nemesail, only a 3 attack swap. You hopefully want to use this on a much larger attack body to maybe bait some interaction. But this will do just the job well, as this trade will allow a spirit to go up in advantage on board, and it'll still keep this Mustation able to hit over this Nemesail. But an Argo comes down. We are Argoing to the polls here. We're going to go ahead and use 2 spirits to enchant this Argo and enchant a Necklace of Harmonia. This trend has been really interesting to see in some competitive play, and I'm curious to see how Peeps is going to be utilizing it today. I like the fact they're using it with a slightly mismatched spirit here with Thunder, allowing Nemesail to be huge, and Espira's thinking on this. It's a Tsunami! The counter of this play is flipping the Nemesail to defense, allowing the saving of this Drakid. Can go for the Mustation anyways, because it's not flipped, and that 1 defense Nemesail is not being boosted by the Necklace of Harmonia, and you bait out a shield! Wow! Some crazy back and forth interaction from these casters today, and if I'm Espira, I don't feel too bad about that. Peeps took a lot of spirit and took up a lot of back row to deal with that board. One tsunami counterplay there was huge from Espira. Gonna try to heal back some spirits here with the Nemesail. Do like this option here, trying to at least control the pace a little bit, and it does contest the Drakking with only 2 defense. The wind heal is good to go here. Again, if you're Espira, you're like, this is fine, completely in the driver's seat. That Necklace of Harmonia can potentially burn at the end of this turn anyways. So I'm gonna go for Nemesail into the Drakking. Espira's thinking here. Hard decision. Do you tend to react here? Maybe you don't have a strong enough hand to deal with this board. And a large Nemesail as well. That is I believe it's an 8 attack. Going for the Gorgon's Gate to stop one of the attacks, forcing the other Nemesail in. Espira doesn't want to take the extra spirit damage. Potentially another counter rune coming down. It looks like it. It looks like it's a Shield of Achilles to bounce that back and to get rid of the Necklace of Harmonia. I don't hate the idea here, meaning that he can go uncontested with both this Drakking and also the Mustation that we know is in hand. Gonna go pass back to Espira here, draws for turn. Espira might be thinking to himself, if he wants to drop that crab again, it's a big body that's gonna be hard to contest with Peeps at this point, but the spirit count can get a little low if you're under 10. Drakking should be able to take care of this Nemesail easy peasy, while Peeps has no back row to contest the board. Water Spirit coming down from Espira. Let's see what the cast is. It's a Dratagua, opting to not go for the offensive play here and try to get some early aggression. But instead, mid-game aggression, excuse me, we are well into the mid-game here. But instead, healed back and played a little bit slow, which the Wind deck does have a hard time at potentially outing larger defense bodies. Drakking's gonna activate the effect and swing over the Nemesail, playing a little slow here, trying to bring back that spirit differential. Surprisingly, despite the fact that Peeps had to respond very heavily, the spirit count is in Peeps' favor here. Gonna go for healing back 2, bringing back the spirits to a nice, clean, cool 11. And potentially this Nemesail can hit over this Drakking. And it does. The connection is good, but no back row from Peeps means that this Mustation that's about to come down, that we know is in hand, can maybe have some big advantage swings. And go ahead and go for a Lunar. He's ascending. The 1 copy of Drakking coming in clutch. It's the king. Drakking, very powerful in this position, especially because that Nemesail having a little bit of a body is really nice. Gonna go ahead and enchant an Atlantis. And because Drakking has the flex option of enchanting this Nemesail it's about to hit over with a water, that means that this Nemesail is potentially gonna be a 4 body, making it an offensive force. Love that play. Espira coming down with this Drakking, gonna go ahead and go and bring out the Nemesail. Drakking's effect here allows you to cast it on your side of the field. So this Temple of the Sun sleeve that Espira has on the board is going to be the Nemesail that is in the top corner of Peeps' board there. Just a quick reference if anyone's confused. All right, gonna swing in for 1 damage. Again, this is a large Drakking as an 8, and it's a 4 from the Nemesail, but this Boom Bat is about to take care of this Drakking with the swiftness. Nice spirit and nice attack, but it does mean that Peeps gives up a little bit of tempo. And this is the confusion portion of Boom Bat as far as some competitive players are concerned. Boom Bat is a really nice card for dealing with these boss Elestrals. However, you do give up quite a bit in advantage depending on the game stage. Drataga's gonna come down, heal 2 spirits left. Looks like this Wind heal deck is doing a little bit less healing than Espira right now. Gonna swing with the Nemesail, gonna go in for a 1 spirit damage. And now we're back to Peeps. I was just talking about that tempo swing to Espira's favor, but it looks like he's just gonna play this one slow and try to outpace Peeps himself in the long grind game, but Toxistorm will help really bring that closer together. Toxistorm's a nice offensive force here too, allowing you to potentially trade with the Nemesail, which I don't know if you really want to do with your Peeps. Once again, you're just trading 1-for-1 value, where you don't really have the back row, but oh, it looks like he's gonna do it. He's gonna try to swing on the Nemesail, trade, and get that Nemesail back inside of his underworld. I don't know how much I like that play. Again, this Dratagua is quite huge, so you might not have a lot of options, but wow, I think having that defensive body there at the very least, forcing a Espira to make that trade is maybe the best portion. Potentially Peeps is afraid of another Drakking coming down, but at this point, you are trading 1-for-1 value and trading for a tempo. Gonna go ahead and re-enchant the Dratagua. Dratagua gonna go up to a 6 defense body with this Atlantis, and now Espira's in the driver's seat trying to heal back as much as possible. Dratagua only being a 1 attack though is kind of risky, and swinging into Peeps for 2 damage here might be pretty worth it, putting Peeps down to 5 spirits. Again, most everything will trade with the Chautauqua, but that one back row from Espira, you can feel pretty good about it. Astrabbit comes down here. Peeps is going to try to wall up just a little bit, and it would take a little while for this Chautauqua to be able to hit over this Astrabbit, but we do know that Mustache is in hand, and so that might be coming down next turn. Finally, some back row from PeepsYGO. Oh wow, hopefully that can save him a little bit. The low spirit count means that maybe only one of those is going to be activatable. And go for the Mustache here. No surprise, that was bounced back early and good timing on a spirit to bring it back. And go ahead for the Moss effect to buff up and swap those attack and defense stats to a 7. This is a 7 body here, can hit over even Lavalith and potentially Arcolith. Gonna go swing on to the Rabbit and gonna force Peeps for the Shield of Achilles. I don't even know if that's worth it at this point. You have to have an Ambrosia or 3 in the back. Maybe an extra Nemesail, Quackle even, potentially. We saw that inside the deck. I don't like this position from Peeps as a 5 to 2 spirit differential, but there's the Nemesail coming down. Oh, that's gonna be really nice to be able to trade even with the Chautauqua, but I think Espira would be able to just bring back the Crab if this back row is potentially a Shield of Achilles or a Tsunami. I think Peeps has to go for it though. Again, the spirit count is getting really low, and there's only so many times that Espira or that Peeps can help swing for trade. But it looks like Espira is going to go ahead and go for turn. Peeps is going to pass. Espira's going to expend to draw here, which I don't know if I particularly like, but it's going to go ahead and swap the Chautauqua into defense. Espira could potentially get aggressive here and put Peeps on better, have it down to 1 spirit. And I guess re-enchant to the Nemesail is a possibility here, which looks like Peeps is going to do to help bring that spirit back up to speed. But interesting back and forth gameplay from our opponents, playing it really slow. Potentially the timing on Espira might just not be too advantageous here, afraid of that back row being a Shield of Achilles. Now putting Espira on the back foot, wasting two spirits for the Mustache and the expend. Very calculated gameplay here. Gonna go for a Ambrosia potentially off the top, unless it's another expended draw. Ambrosia off the top here is gonna be pretty big. Favor back into Espira's corner, gonna heal back 3 spirits, a lunar and 2 water spirits. Let's see what he can do with these spirits now that he's up in advantage. Gonna re-enchant the Chautauqua. This thing is huge. It's a 7 body with 4 attack. Respectable stats. Incredible. The stats of one Verdolith would wish it was a 4 attack with this Chautauqua on board. A little funny. Oh, but a rock in a hard place. I recognize that with the Lunar Spirit and the Water Spirit coming down, forcing out the 1 back row. Maybe that's what Espira was waiting for, was taking out the Rabbit or the back row. So this back row is something important to Peeps. Looks like the Rabbit's gonna go down. It looks like what we got from Espira, a Poseidon. I was almost afraid that was a 2nd rock in a hard place. Poseidon is going to be on board, allowing to Nexus to the Chautauqua, making it a 5/8 body. This thing is carrying, allowing to heal back for 2 as well, with Chautauqua being a when receive for water spirits. This is looking quite scary for Peeps, and I'm not exactly sure what that back row has to be, but if it's a shield, this is one of the greatest shields of all time. Otherwise, Chautauqua's gonna go in, and it is a shield! Wow, that's a lot of investment from Espira just to have it bounce back, but I guess you gotta do what you gotta do to potentially play the long con here, forcing Peeps to expend the spirits, bringing him low, and putting him in a literal rock in a hard place. The idea here is that Peeps has the option to re-enchant the Nemesail to stay up on spirits and potentially do some more damage, because he knows the Mustache is in hand and can come down and crack the board at any time. Looks like the Nemesail's gonna go and heal 2 spirits left, going for the re-enchant here. If Peeps has no back row, it looks like there's nothing in the back. I think this Mustache's gonna go to uncontested, and that's gonna be very difficult for Peeps to out. Oh wow, Spirit's thinking really hard. It's a Tsunami. Okay, that's a pretty good Tsunami. You'd rather take the 1-for-1 trade, and it also means your weaker Elestrals that are boosted by Atlantis can now take this uncontested. That Mustache, once again, is now boosted by Atlantis, but gonna go for the Chautauqua, bounce the hand to heal back, also not a bad option. But these 1 attack bodies from the water Elestrals are now boosted to a 2, being able to contest this Nemesail. Poseidon also coming down, buffing up this Chautauqua once again, go for the heal play. Espira back to a nice and comfortable 5, while Peeps is on 4 spirits. And it looks like time might be up for Peeps if Espira can set a back row potentially. Now the driver's seat is firmly in his hands. The Chautauqua's gonna swing in over the Nemesail. And now Peeps has draw for turn. There's a lot that Peeps can do here. This is actually a very tight position, and it's a Sorlet! a Sorlet with a Wind Spirit here. Sorlet will be able to contest the Dratagua, but not be able to contest this, once again, the crab that could inside of Espira's hand. Dratagwa's gonna go down, Espira's gonna draw for turn, 7 spirits to 3 spirits. This is looking quite wrapped up, but I just don't know. And it's an Eddy! Espira is allergic to the Mustachian and the Shellfish in the hand, but maybe this is a much safer play that that Espira can make. There's a reason why I'm here in the booth and not on the play. I'm gonna go for a Veratuka though, back and forth gameplay, similar to what we saw from Coder and Hazy inside of round 1, trading blow for blow, card for card, and I don't even know if this value is particularly worth it. Once again, the body of Veratuka is very nice to have that destruction effect, but it being very small means that now we are forced to Mustachian and Mustachian swap effect and hit into the Veratuka to trade. Now with only 2 spirits left, Peeps has to see an Ambrosia. You don't like to see a back row in this position if you're Peeps. Very patient from both sides here, waiting for the exact moment to strike. And a Rabbit coming down with a Wind Spirit just to wallop a little bit to save you for one more turn, potentially to see into that Ambrosia. Looks like coming down, we have a Poison Tipped Arrow from Espira, and that should be game. That's game right there. Gonna go into a game 2 from this round of Elestriad. Wow, what a game from both sides there. It's so interesting to see these players waiting for the exact moment to commit to the board, knowing that exactly at any point in time, these casters can heal back and do massive amounts of damage with their big beaters or control the space with their spirit healers. That's just so cool to me to watch these two in action. It's a big reason why they're both here inside of round 2. It's really, really good to see. Love that. Starting off game 2 here with another mulligan from PeepsYGO. You don't love to see that, especially if you're opting to go first here. And an Aeolus is not too bad, but once again, Aeolus can be quite expensive. Opting to go for 3 here instead of loaded up to a nice and big 5. And this Aeolus about to get a search off. I wonder if we're about to see some interesting tech here from Peeps after sighting. And go see the search is going to be a PELIQUARIUS. I love this card from Peeps. Peeps and I talked a little bit earlier about this card specifically in going first and Wind, as Wind doesn't really have a lot of great going first options. And so Peeps putting us on game right now, potentially searching out a Galaxy, which is a great counter to Espira's deck, meaning that all the water Elestrals inside of this strategy are going to be flopped. Even the Drakking, the mighty Drakking at a 7/4, is a measly 4/7 when the Galaxy is on the board. I love that a lot, and the flex option potentially even going to Eddy is really good here. But a Drakking should be able to take care of this PELIQUARIUS. However, with 2 back row, that's not super great. Ooh, Rock in a hard place is amazing to see, and Peeps has the option to take out the PELIQUARIUS, which you do want to take, but now this Drakid can go uncontested as no Gorgon's Gaze pop down into a Misenchanted Drakking? This is interesting. I'm curious to know why. The Galaxy, of course, wow. I myself forgot with everything that happened. Man, Espira's foresight is crazy. Gonna drop a shield here, and meaning that now the open board, but I mean, do you take that spirit trade, especially if you're Espira, because now that is going to be an 11 to 16 spirit differential. I like the play going into the Thunder Spirit, and though you're not necessarily Tsunami immune and you don't really get the effects, you don't really want to have the Galaxy be a 1-for-1 trade, putting Peeps on better habit for those counter runes. Nameless is going to come back in here, trying to heal up the ever-trusty Nemasail, and heal back up to 12. Lycra Spirits are quite gorgeous. I love the hollows there. Peeps is going to go ahead and try to swing in for 1 damage here with the little Nemasail that could. Spirit's going to take it, and it's going to pass back to Espira, drawing for a turn now. We know how Drakking is in the hand, so the Hard Ascend is going to be very much something to look out for, or potentially another Drakking into a rock in a hard place once again. I feel like we've seen this play time and time in the sides of these games. Drakkid's going to go ahead and swap the Nemasail and try to swing on the Nemasail. Does Peeps have a response? Letting it go through, probably for the best. Drakkid is something you don't necessarily want to keep on wasting your spirits on, especially if it's something that this low. Veratuka's gonna come down, it's gonna take care of this Drakid nice and swiftly. Let's see what Espira has, and it's a Tsunami for the attack of the Veratuka, allowing you to save that Drakid for just 1 turn and not having to waste the effect, as this 2 attack body can hit over this 1 defense Veratuka. Avoiding a little bit of a minor penalty there by switching the Drakid to defense a little bit late. Understandable, Spirit does know what he's doing. All right, we're gonna go for Dratagua here. Dratagwa's gonna heal back 2 spirits. Gonna go right into the driver's seat here, but it's an attack position Jotagwa, looking to get a little bit aggressive. Do we see Atlantis come down? Doesn't look like it's gonna go for Drakid. Drakid's gonna swap the attack with the Verituka and try to swing in and try to go for Jotagwa for 1. Trying to put Peeps on a better habit with the pacing here. Again, very interesting change of play from the first round in the first game, going for a little bit of a slower play style with the Jotagwa in defense. And Bro's gonna come down from Peeps healing back up to a 3 spirits here from 13 to 14. You feel pretty good about that overall. Once again, are we gonna see a little more aggression come down from Espira? We do know the Drakking's in hand, able to ascend over either of these, but the Galaxy might prevent that. The Galaxy is gonna be very scary here. Gonna go ahead and swing on the I wanna say the Drakid. Take out the Drakid here, that way it doesn't have to deal with the swapping of the Galaxies, but I do wanna point out it doesn't quite work the way you think it does. Earthquake! I know what those 2 Earth Spirits mean, and so does Peeps. Before the card even comes down, that Galaxy is out of there. That is a very worthwhile Earthquake. And go ahead and expend to draw and just hit in with Jotagwa. Oh, no, my mistake. I was looking for a reach to swing in, but looks like Jotagwa's gonna sit down for a 4. That back row might just be a bluff. Aeolus is gonna come down, loading it up with 3 spirits once again, and that is back to a 9 spirit differential. Gonna go ahead and detach and disenchant 2 to search out another Nemesail. Love this play from Peeps, taking it a little bit slower, knowing that he cannot contest this Jotagwa, and thus gonna try to recoup some resources for later plays. It's very interesting. Here we're back to the position we were inside of game 1, where both players are playing a little more defensive. Once again, I was commenting on how Espira was changing the pace, and with Eddie, it looks like that pace is going to be changed once again. Nemesail can go down to defense, and Eddie can swing in uncontested as well, but we just see a Shield of Achilles coming from the back. Nope. Looks like that Nemesail is going to go down, and Peeps has to have something going here. And it's going to be an Ash Rabbit to wall up and try to dig for more resources. Espira is thinking on the play here. Looks like it's going to go through. What is Peeps digging for in this position? Again, both players, we know the Drakking is in hand to contest this rabbit. The back row might be something just to contest that, but it looks like Eddie's gonna come in. The second Eddie is only on cast, and so having the second Eddie in hand for a insane double Eddie and Jotagwa play, very interesting. Peeps is gonna be forced to go for an Argo, waiting for the rabbit to be switched to attack. Wow, what foresight. What a crazy play. We're gonna go see R going to the polls to grab Necklace of Harmonia. Gonna enchant with 2 Wind Spirits this time. Potential Nexus play incoming. Gonna gain 5 attack, and Espira does not have the Tsunami to save this Eddie. Eddie goes down to the rabbit. This rabbit is huge at a 7 attack. There's no 3 Leviathan enchanted Jotagwa to save him. Earthquake coming down again, but oh, that brings Peeps down to such low spirit count. Taking out the Eddie, the offensive threat here, and go for Exaltair. This is the Nexus play. This is the Nexus loop that we saw Disencoder also do inside of round 1, and I love that Peeps gets to do it here to burn Espira for a little bit of damage, but Poison Tipped Arrow comes out. Ooh, I do like this play just a little bit. Enabling extra damage to not come down, but it's gonna go ahead and go for the rabbit. This rabbit's going to be huge and potentially swing over this Jotagwa. I don't know. I think I'd rather put that onto the Exaltair to try to get into a little more damage, because Rabbit with the Harmonia can go. Oh, my mistake. Harmonia is gone. What am I saying? The Nexus took it out. I'm going to burn for 2 spirit damage. Now the Poison Tipped Arrow is going to take out the Exaltair. Oh, once again, getting caught off guard here. I need more coffee this morning. All right, looks like maybe Espira is going to go in for an Ambrosia here. Potential expend to draw or an Ambrosia are all possible plays here. The spirit count getting a little bit low for Espira as well. I mean, 2 to 4 is not the biggest difference here. That's 1 counter rune cast, but the Ambrosia should be able to get him back up to a nice and comfortable 7 spirits. And the Jotagwa can be re-enchanted here. It looks like that's potentially what we're gonna be able to do. Gonna go back for the aggression here. No re-enchant on the Jotagwa. Gonna drop down that Drakking from earlier. Saving these key cards from these shields earlier is quite good, especially now because Peeps cannot shield the Drakking. What are we gonna do here? It's gonna be a shield. Wait, he can shield it, but he's gonna have to hope off the top that that's something at all, that Espira doesn't have any back row, gonna expend his last 2 spirits, but all he has now are the 3 spirits on rabbit. That's nothing to scoff at. You can bring down Espira to half health with a tiny little rabbit. The little rabbit that could. Gonna string in for 3, and Espira is gonna take it. 1, 2, 3. Espira's like, yeah, that's fine. 2 attack rabbit, 3 spirits. All I need is 1. All I need is 1. It's gonna be the own rabbit. This is so interesting. Wow, I mean, they could trade and, oh, okay, well, never mind. We're gonna go down to an Ambrosia. I was gonna say, Espira has the option to trade and see who has more cards in their deck to take game 2, but it looks like we're gonna go ahead and just heal back up with that Ambrosia, crash with the rabbit, take the last 2 spirits, and Peeps, it goes down to Espira, the mighty watercaster, inside of game 2, inside of round 2 of this Elestriad. Wow. What an insane back and forth play from Espira and Peeps there. I really like that matchup for a few different reasons, but I think the idea, again, like I mentioned this inside of game 1, is being able to stop and go when needed with these 2 decks is particularly why this is such an interesting matchup inside of competitive play. Both Wind have access to the most insane healers inside of the game and some of the most insane big bodies inside of the entire game. And I love the inclusion of the removal and potentially from Peep's side to going in for that Nexus play inside of game 2 for Exaltair to try to speed up the tempo just a little bit. Big fan of that. But with that being said, congratulations to Espira and the Water Pantheon with Poseidon for taking this round today. And while Peeps goes down inside of this round, Aeolus and the Wind Pantheon have plenty of strong soldiers left that might be able to take it to the top. But let me know in the comment section down below who you're rooting for in the rest of this Elestriad season, the most electrifying season yet, if you ask me. As well, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more amazing Elestrals content. You've been great, I've been Swolax, and I will talk to you guys later. Have a great night, everyone.